24 hours after the wedding, she discovered a hidden truth that transformed her life, an incredible, surprising twist. Emily had just slipped into married life with Mike, the love of her life. Their wedding had been a dreamy affair in Maplewood, filled with laughter, flowers, and the warmth of family and friends. Everyone called them the golden couple, a pair that seemed to shine with promise. Yet, just 24 hours into their honeymoon at a cozy cabin, everything changed as they wandered through the tranquil trails of the nearby woods. The leaves crunched underfoot, and the scent of pine wrapped around them. It felt magical. That was until Sarah stumbled upon them, a familiar face from a time long past. The nostalgic memory of childhood laughter and shared secrets buzzed in the air as she stepped forward, her eyes sparkling with surprise. "Emily, Mike, what a coincidence!" she exclaimed, hugging them both tightly. But then, as they shared stories beneath the towering trees, things took a wild turn. In a casual moment, Sarah mentioned, "You know, your dad had ties to the Hawthorne family." Those words sent a shockwave through Emily. Her father, a humble war hero, had never spoken about any connections to Maplewood's wealthiest family. Suddenly, everything she knew felt like shifting sand beneath her feet. Questions churned in Emily's mind. What did this mean for her? Dealing with her identity, the one shaped by her modest upbringing, became unbearable. Back in Maplewood, the air felt different. The sweet aroma of coffee brewing in the diner mixed with tension raising her soul. Mike, who always stood by her side, now seemed caught in a storm between loyalty to her and commitment to his family, who had a deep-seated disdain for the Hawthorns. "Why didn't you tell me?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling as they sat in silence, a gulf forming between them with every passing moment. "Emily," he began, but the words hung heavy, unspoken. He could see her pain, but there was also the shadow of his family's expectations lurking behind him, squeezing the space they once shared. Feeling suffocated, Emily thought distancing herself from the Hawthorns would be the answer. But in her quest for simplicity, she drifted away from her community, the diner workers, her friends, the very people who cheered for her never-ending dreams. The laughter and support that colored her childhood now faded into quiet despair as she sat alone one evening in the diner, surrounded by familiar chatter and smiles. Tears stung her eyes. This was home, yet suddenly, it felt alien. The paradox gnawed at her. How could one thread of her father's hidden legacy pull her away from everything she truly valued? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just moments later, a loud commotion erupted at the entrance, a confrontation between their two families, the weight of their histories crashing together. Emily stood frozen, heart pounding, the conflict laid bare. Love and loyalty on the line. She found herself staring down a path filled with complex truths she hadn't chosen, yet couldn't escape. Could she face her fears? Could her love for Mike survive the storm brewing above her? She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of expectations mix with hope. Would she rise or fall beneath the pressures that threatened to unravel them all? The answers hung in the air, just out of reach, as the clash of worlds echoed in her ears, leaving her wondering where her story would lead next. Emily's heart raced as she stepped out from behind the counter of the diner, the chaos from the entrance swallowing her whole. She caught glimpses of both families, faces twisted in anger and disbelief, voices rising like a storm ready to break. Laughter, which had danced in the diner just moments ago, was now replaced with tension that crackled in the air, thick like humidity before a summer thunderstorm. "Emily, stay out of this." Mike's voice rang out, cutting through the shouting. She glanced over at him. His face was a mixture of determination and despair. He was trying to shield her, but all she felt was the suffocation of the moment, the helplessness as people she loved stood at odds. Her father, looking older than she remembered, stood firm, his jaw set tightly. "This doesn't concern you, Harold." His voice was calm, but laced with a bitterness that sent chills down her spine. She could see him battling his pride against family loyalty, an age-old tug of war that left Emily caught in the middle. Why didn't you mention this, Emily? Her mother pressed, urgency woven into her tone. You should have known what you were getting into. Her words stung like barbs. This was her new life, the life she had envisioned just a day ago, now slipping away like sand through her fingers. Everything feels like a lie. It fell out of her mouth before she could stop it. The words hung in the air, thick with sadness. You all knew, and no one said anything. Their eyes turned toward her, shock plastered on their faces. The attention felt heavy, almost unbearable. The confrontation intensified, with accusations flying from Mike's side, words about family honor and betrayal. Emily's heart cracked a little more with each accusation. How had they gotten here? They were supposed to be building a life, not tearing each other apart. In that moment of turmoil, a small part of her longed to scream, to break free from the shackles of both families' expectations. But deeper down, she still loved them. They were her roots, no matter how twisted and obscured they felt right now. Stop, she cried out, her voice breaking. Please, just stop. The room fell silent, as if the very air held its breath. She looked from one face to the next, longing for an understanding that felt just out of grasp. I didn't choose any of this, but I love Mike. I want us to find a way to be together without the weight of all this. Mike stepped forward, desperation in his eyes. We can make it work, Emily. We just need to know. She cut him off, her voice solid, filled with a fierceness she didn't know she had. You have to tell them the truth about your family's past with mine. This isn't just about us anymore. The pressure of the moment surged, tides of her past crashing into the surf of their present, mixing the two in a blend of fear and hope. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown, an unspoken dare echoing in her mind. Would they stand together or crumble apart? The quiet stretched like a taut wire ready to snap. Emily could feel the heat rising in her cheeks, determination and vulnerability threatening to spill over. Could she dare to shift the weight of their family's mistakes? As she gazed into Mike's eyes, a flicker of agreement passed between them, and for the first time since that fateful moment, she felt a tether of hope. She straightened, ready to embrace the storm ahead. Just then, as her mother opened her mouth to object, the front door swung wide, bringing someone new into the fray. Emily's heart dropped as she recognized the familiar silhouette stepping into the diner. The one person she had hoped would never have to face this. Dad, she gasped, the realization hitting her like a wave. What would he bring to this already chaotic scene? The stakes just escalated. Emily's breath hitched as her father stepped into the diner, his presence somehow both a comfort and an impending storm. He glanced around at the gathered families, the air thick with unresolved tension. The diner felt like a pressure cooker, ready to explode, and here he was, the catalyst. Dad, she whispered, stepping toward him. What are you doing here? But as soon as she asked, her mind raced with possibilities. Did he already know? Emily, he answered, his eyes darkening as he registered the scene laid out before him. He was taking in Mike's family, the accusations still lingering like smoke, and her own family, grappling with shock and rising anger. I came to find you. His voice was flat, but held a tremor of anguish. He stepped further inside, closing the door softly behind him, as if concerned he might let something in that couldn't be contained. The world outside vanished, and the only reality was this standoff, the painful divide between love and loyalty. Does this involve the past? Mike's father finally spoke up, his tone grating against Emily's frayed nerves. Because if it does, yes, Emily's father interrupted, his voice ringing with authority. It involves all of us. He turned to Emily, the softness in his eyes melting into something more urgent. We need to discuss what's going on. The truth can't stay buried any longer. Her mother looked ready to explode. John, this is not the time. It is the time, he snapped. Tension stretched across the diner. She felt it in her bones. He had finally broken his silence. But was he about to say something that would change everything? Emily's heart thudded painfully in her chest. What truth, Dad? What do you mean? She needed to know now, to grasp whatever was left of this fragile moment. The way he stood, feet firmly planted, told her he was ready to confront everything, the ghosts of their shared history. He inhaled sharply, collecting his thoughts. Years ago, before I even met your mother, I was involved in things I thought I had left behind. His voice softened, the weight of history bearing down on him. Your mother and I built a life based on honesty, but what does this have to do with Mike? She pressed, desperation creeping into her voice. What happened? Before he could respond, Mike stepped forward, his own courage flickering like an uncertain flame. If there are skeletons in the closet, we need to air them out. Whatever it is, we can handle it. Together. His hand found hers, a tether of support, but also a reminder of how precarious their situation was. Emily felt her chest tighten. You don't understand what's at stake. This isn't just about us. Nobody understands what's at stake better than your father. Mike's mother interjected, her voice harsh, but beneath it lay an undertone of fear. We've all made sacrifices, and we are all part of this equation. Emily's father interrupted. We owe it to ourselves to face whatever demons we're holding on to. Caught in the emotional tide, Emily looked around, their faces like canvases painted with dread. How can we move forward if we don't know what we're burying? The diner felt impossibly small, and she realized this wasn't just about family secrets. This was about healing, about finding a way through the chaos that had, until now, felt insurmountable. Are you ready for the truth, Emily? Her father asked, and in that moment, she saw the flicker of burden in his eyes. For better or worse, everything was about to change. The words hung between them like a fragile truce, and with them, an impending shift in their lives. What if what they uncovered would draw them closer or push them further apart? The truth loomed large in the quiet, filling the space with its heavy promise. As she glanced at Mike, heart racing with equal parts dread and curiosity, she felt the walls around them crack just a bit. I'm ready, she finally said, knowing that once the truth was revealed, things could never go back to how they were. But the question remained, could they handle it? The diner fell silent, a collective breath held in anticipation. Emily could feel the weight of her father's gaze, the unspoken words echoing around them. Her heart raced, a hummingbird fluttering against the rib cage of her uncertainty. Moments stretched, fragile as thin glass. Before I met your mother, I was involved in something dark, her father began, his voice wavering. Criminal activities, dangerous people. The kind of people who don't let go easily. Each word felt like a step deeper into a chasm, and she could see Mike's family exchanging glances, absorbing the implications. Dad, what does that even mean for us? Emily's voice was barely above a whisper, the reality of the moment creeping into her bones like cold water. Those secrets that had been hidden for so long, did they have the power to upend everything she knew? It means that the past isn't as distant as I'd hoped. It means that some of those people, they might still be looking for me. And maybe for you too. He looked at Mike's family, whose faces wore a mixture of shock and confusion. They weren't ready for this. Emily felt the pit in her stomach twist tighter. Why now? Why say this here? She shot back, her voice rising. Anger and fear intermingled, blurring her thoughts. This isn't the time for old stories. We're here because of recent events. Because of Mike. I'm doing this for Mike too. Her father interrupted, firm. This isn't just about you, Emily. It's about him, and it's about keeping everyone safe. You need to know what you're dealing with, where these tensions come from. Mike stood still beside her, his grip tightening around her hand. She could see the uncertainty in his eyes, where before there had been confidence. What does this mean for us? He asked quietly. All this history? Her father's silence hung heavily in the air, the gravity of the moment pressing in on them. Emily felt the walls of the diner closing in, the laughter and chatter from earlier now eerily distant. We need to confront what happened, her father said finally. I made choices that may not just affect me anymore. There are people in my past who might look to settle old scores, and it could endanger you both. It's about survival now, above all else. Emily's mind raced. The fabric of her world felt ripped asunder. I just want to be with Mike, she replied, her voice cracking. To have a normal life. It might not be that simple, her father warned, the sadness in his eyes unmistakable. We may have to make some tough choices. Whether to cut ties with that past, or face it head on. What do you mean, cut ties? Mike asked, his brow furrowing in concern. It means, her father hesitated. It seemed he was weighing the consequences of his next words. It means we might have to leave. For a while. Until this is settled. An electric tension shot through the room, the repercussions of his words reaching far beyond the diner's four walls. Emily felt the blood drain from her face. "You can't be serious," she managed, looking from her father to Mike. "After everything? Just abandon it all?" "But considering the danger, no," she cried out, cutting him off. Uncertainty morphed into a fierce resolve. "I want to run. I can't. Not from my family, and not from this life." Mike stepped closer, squeezing her hand in reassurance. "We can fight this together. We don't have to fear what we don't know." Emily looked around the diner, at the worried faces staring back at them. How could they possibly fight an enemy from the shadows? One that could strike when least expected. She felt a rush of adrenaline, underlined by a gnawing sense of impending conflict. "What happens if we don't?" Emily's father asked, his tone foreboding. "What if the secrets of my past catch up to us? It could all come crashing down around us in that moment." Time slowed. Emily's heart raced with the siren call of a fight that felt unavoidable. A part of her surged to acceptance, while another threatened to crumble under the weight of dread. What choice would she make, and at what cost? Just as she prepared to respond, the emerging tension in the air sparked an unexpected thought. Could she risk everything to confront a danger she didn't yet fully understand? Suddenly, the door swung open, a gust of wind rushing in as a new figure appeared, casting a long shadow in the doorway. Emily's breath caught. It felt as if her past had finally come knocking. Who was this stranger, and how deeply was their story entangled with her own? Emily couldn't tear her eyes away from the figure standing at the door. The cold wind tugged at the edges of the newcomer's coat, but the warmth of the diner seemed to shrink in comparison to the chill setting in Emily's gut. "Who are you?" Her voice rang out, even though she barely recognized it as her own. The room had all but faded away. It was just her and the mysterious figure as the stranger stepped closer. Emily could make out a face that was both familiar and alien. It was a face she had seen in old photographs tucked away in dusty boxes. Her mother's brother, Uncle Leo. The man had vanished long before she could remember, a ghost from her family's past. "Emily," he said, his voice rough but resonant. "I know this is unexpected, but I need to talk to you. And your father." His gaze darted to her father, who had frozen in place, a mask of surprise etched over his features. "Dad, you know him?" she asked, her heart pounding. The fragments of the past began to swirl in her mind, bringing with them questions she never had the chance to ask. "I thought you were gone for good. We buried you in our memories," her father said, disbelief and confusion fighting for dominance in his voice. Leo looked old and weary, but there was a fire in his eyes and a sense of urgency that pushed him forward. "It's not safe to stay here. I haven't come to reminisce. I came to warn you." "About what?" Mike asked, hesitant yet driven by a protective instinct over Emily. The room held its breath, the air thick with suspense. "About the people your father was involved with. They're back," Leo divulged. "After all these years, your father's past is not as buried as he thought. They are looking for him, and they will do anything to find you both." The diner erupted into murmurs. Emily could feel the weight of her father's unresolved choices pressing against her chest. "You're saying they're hunting us?" she whispered. "Yes, I've seen them. They're tracking down anyone who might lead them to him. That's why I left. I thought I could protect you from this." Emily's eyes flicked to her father. "Why didn't you tell us, Dad? Why wait until things escalated?" "I was trying to shield you from it," he replied, desperation tinging his voice. "I thought I had escaped, that it had all faded away." "Faded away?" Emily's voice rose, shaking with intensity. "You don't just run from that kind of past, and you certainly don't leave us in the dark." Leo stepped forward, his hands raised as if to calm the heated exchanges. "Look, I know it sounds bad, but there is a way out. We can regroup. We can go somewhere safe if we act quickly." The room was silent except for the ticking clock above the counter, each tick marking a moment of indecision. Emily's heart raced with uncertainty. Could they really just pick up and leave everything? Suddenly, every moment from her life felt at risk of slipping away before her eyes. "Uncle Leo, what do you expect us to do?" Mike broke the silence, his protective stance shifting ever so slightly as concern rippled through him. "Leave the only life we know? With no guarantee that it will keep us safe?" "This life may not be safe anymore," Leo countered, intensity fueling his every word. "The choice is yours, but you don't have much time." Emily fell into a deep silence, her mind a whirlwind of chaotic emotions. Could she turn her back on everything she had built? A life countless others would die to preserve? The weight of her father's past felt heavier now, pressing down on her resolve. I need time to think, she finally managed, glancing at Mike, who nodded in understanding. You don't have time, Leo insisted. They're closer than you think. As reality crashed down around her, Emily understood one thing. It was no longer just her father's story, but her own, their fates intertwined in a dance with danger. What would she choose to face next? Before she could lose herself further in thoughts, the door swung open again, and a familiar face stepped inside the face of someone she never expected to see here. The shadows were gathering. Would Emily remain strong enough to confront them all? Emily's heart skipped a beat as she recognized the newcomer. It was Sarah, her childhood friend, someone she hadn't seen in years. Their eyes locked, and in that instant, Emily felt a rush of nostalgia mixed with fear. Was Sarah part of this unfolding drama? Emily. Sarah rushed over, her face a mix of excitement and worry. I heard you were back in town. What is going on? She hadn't noticed Uncle Leo yet, still standing in the doorway, the tension in the room palpable. Sarah, it's complicated, Emily replied, glancing at her father who still wore that shocked expression. You shouldn't be here right now. What do you mean? Sarah asked, her brow furrowed with concern. You look like you've seen a ghost. She finally glanced toward Leo, and her eyes widened in panic. Is that? Yes, Leo cut in, stepping forward. I'm Leo. Been a long time, hasn't it? Sarah's mouth dropped open. What are you doing here? I'm here to protect them, he said firmly, his voice steady now. Protect us? Emily echoed, still caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The weight of the moment bore down on her, another layer of urgency wrapping around her thoughts. From what? Before Leo could respond, the sound of a phone pinging broke through the tension. Mike produced his phone from his pocket, staring at the screen like it was a ticking time bomb. It's a message from work, he said hesitantly. We need to leave. Now. Emily's pulse raced. Mike had been working overtime lately, and she sensed the change in him. No longer just her boyfriend. He was shifting into a protector. What does it say? It's from my boss. He knows I'm here in town, and he has been told to keep an eye on you, he said, his eyes darting back to Leo. Your whole family. That's what Leo was talking about, Emily said, her voice trembling. They're tracking us. The atmosphere grew thick, and Emily felt her breath catch in her throat. She'd known that moving back would stir up old memories, but now, with all these intertwining threats, she felt like she was split between reality and a web of complicated family ties. Mike, you have to get out of here, Emily said, her heart aching at the thought of losing him to this madness. I can't let them come after you too. I'm not going anywhere, he shot back, resolve hardening in his eyes. I'm staying by your side. Sarah's hand shot up, a sudden urgency overtaking her. What if I can help? She said, determination gleaming in her eyes. I know people in town. I can get information, hear from folks who might have seen something. Emily started, but she could see the gleam of activism in her friend's gaze. They had spent countless summers planning adventures, escaping from the confines of their small town. This time, however, adventure held a much darker potential. If we're running, Leo interjected, then we need to think of every angle. You can't face this alone. His words hung like a heavy shadow. Emily's mind raced, hurtling through the options. They could flee, but this fear would follow. They could stand their ground, but at what cost? Okay, she said finally, taking a deep breath. But we need to make a plan. If these people are looking for us, we have to stay one step ahead. Sarah, can you really help us? Absolutely, she said, determination filling her voice. Leo nodded, a flicker of hope crossing his weathered features. Then let us move quickly. The sooner we act, the better chance we have. As they gathered themselves together, the noise of the diner faded into the background. Each person felt a weight of connection and purpose weaving between them, a desperate and fierce determination to protect one another. Emily could feel her heart racing, both for the fear of the unknown and the thrill of standing shoulder to shoulder with her family and friends. As they made their way toward the door, ready to step into the storm that awaited outside, a thought struck her like a lightning bolt. What if we don't just want to survive? What if we find a way to put an end to this, once and for all? The door creaked open, revealing the gathering shadows that loomed over the horizon. The next move was hers to make. But little did she know, more than just a hidden truth awaited them in the world beyond the diner. An unexpected complication was about to emerge that would challenge everything they thought they knew. Emily pushed through the door, the chill of twilight colliding with the warmth of the diner behind them. Shadows stretched like fingers across the pavement, and she could feel the weight of what lay ahead. Mike's grip on her hand tightened, a silent promise of support as their footsteps echoed down the dimly lit street. Sarah darted ahead, her eyes darting around like a hawk searching for prey. "We need somewhere safe to talk," she said, urgency lacing her voice. "My parents' old warehouse has been abandoned for years. We can use it as a base." Leo nodded, his expression grave. "Lead the way." As they hurried through familiar streets, Emily's thoughts raced. Years had passed since she'd walked these ways, yet now they felt foreign as memories clashed with her current reality. She glanced at Mike, whose jaw was set in determination, and at Leo, whose every action carried the weight of their family's hidden past. What were they truly up against? They turned a corner, the warehouse coming into view, a shadowy outline against the fading blue sky. It loomed large, its cracked windows resembling empty eyes watching them approach. Sarah pushed the door open, revealing a musty interior filled with echoes of their childhood adventures. Dust motes danced in the beams of light seeping through the cracks. "Let us make it quick," Mike whispered, glancing toward the door as if expecting someone to break in at any moment. "We need to figure out our next steps before it's too late." Once inside, the atmosphere felt heavy yet strangely comforting. The four of them formed a tight circle, each person's breath a testament to their collective worry. Emily looked around and caught sight of an old chair, its wood splintered and worn. Grabbing it, she shifted it to the center, preparing for a moment of clarity in chaos. "We have to talk about what we're facing," Emily began, her voice slightly shaky but resolute. "If they're tracking my family, there's a chance they know things that could hurt us or worse." Leo exchanged a glance with Mike. For a moment, everything felt suspended, like they were standing on the edge of a cliff, peering into an uncertain abyss. "I don't care about the risk," Sarah interjected, a glimmer of defiance lighting up her features. "Whatever's happening is not just about you, Emily. It's about me too. If they're after your family, they won't stop at just you." Emily's heart sank, but she appreciated Sarah's bravery. "Right. So we need information. If we can find out who's behind this, perhaps we can outsmart them before they get to us." Leo nodded, pulling out his phone to take notes. "Then we gather intel." "Sarah, you mentioned knowing people. Who can we trust?" "Most of the old crowd is still around," Sarah said, tapping her chin thoughtfully. "But there's one person I haven't seen in a while, Riley. He was always in the loop. If anyone knows what's up, it's him." "It's worth a shot," Mike agreed. "We should split up then. Emily and I can check in with Riley, while Leo teams up with you, Sarah. We can cover more ground that way." Emily felt a flicker of fear at the thought of separating. "Are you sure that's a good idea? What if they decide to come after us?" "I'll be with Sarah," Leo assured her. "We'll be fine. And you know Mike will do whatever it takes to keep you safe." With resolve setting in, they nodded in agreement. But even as the words left their lips, an unsettling feeling gripped Emily's stomach. Minutes later, they faded into the night, the promise of danger lurking just beyond their grasp. As Emily and Mike navigated through back alleys toward Riley's last known address, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap. She stopped suddenly, a sinking feeling creeping over her. What if they've already found him? Mike looked at her, his brows knitted together. "Then we're walking into something bigger than we thought. But we have to try him. We can't let fear paralyze us." As they approached what used to be Riley's home, shadows shifted and the hairs on Emily's arms stood on end. But just as they were about to knock, a distant siren echoed. It cut through the air, sharp and foreboding. "What was that?" Mike whispered, tensing up. Emily's heart quickened. "I think we're not alone," she breathed, feeling a chill creep down her spine. Unknown eyes were watching them from the darkness. In that moment, she realized fear wasn't just an abstract concept anymore. It was a tangible thing, closing in like the night around them. What lay ahead would demand everything from them, all their courage, all their resolve. And with one sharp glance back at the alley, She felt the weight of her family's past pushing her forward into an uncertain future. Would they be able to uncover the hidden truth before it was too late? The air felt thick around Emily as she and Mike waited in the shadows, the siren's wailing fading into the distance. A cold sweat trickled down her back, but determination surged within her. "We need to check," she said, clenching her fists. "We can't just turn back now." Mike nodded, his expression a mix of fear and fierce loyalty. "If this is a trap, we'll face it together. Just stay close." They cautiously stepped forward, the wooden door before them creaking ominously as Mike pushed it open. A wave of stale air hit them, thick with memories and dust. The dim light from the street lamp outside barely illuminated the interior, revealing the remnants of a life long abandoned. Ropes hung from the ceiling like ghosts, and broken furniture lay strewn across the floor. "Riley?" Emily called out, her voice barely a whisper, echoing off the walls. Silence answered back, thick and heavy. Emily's heart raced, each beat a reminder of the stakes they faced. She took a few cautious steps inside, Mike right beside her. They moved deeper into the old house, the floorboards creaking under their weight. "Let us try the back room," Mike suggested, pointing to a doorway cloaked in shadow. As they moved toward it, Emily's thoughts spun wildly. What if Riley was gone? What if they were too late? Just then, she heard a shuffling sound behind the door, something shifting, or someone breathing. "Did you hear that?" Emily froze, her heart pounding in her ears. "Yeah, I did," Mike replied, gripping her arm. "I think we should open it." With a firm nod, Emily pushed open the door. Inside, the small room was dimly lit with a flicker of light from a solitary lamp. In the corner, a figure sat in a tattered armchair, staring blankly at a wall adorned with yellowed newspaper clippings. "Riley?" Emily stepped forward, anxiety coiling tightly in her stomach. He turned slowly, revealing tired eyes and a scruffy beard. "Emily, you made it." His voice was hoarse, as if he hadn't spoken in days. "Are you okay?" Mike asked, taking a defensive stance beside Emily. "We thought you might be in danger." "Danger?" Riley's eyes seemed to gloss over, distant and haunted. That's an understatement. Emily's heart twisted as she took a seat across from him. "What do you know? What is going on?" Riley sighed, his hands trembling as he traced the edges of an old newspaper article. "A lot has changed since the last time we met. There are people looking for you, looking for your family. They want something they believe your parents took." "What are you talking about?" Emily pressed, panic clawing at her chest. "What do they want? Not just your family, but all of us connected to what happened years ago. It's bigger than you think. Your family's past isn't just history, it's a ticking time bomb." Emily exchanged a worried glance with Mike. "How do you fit into this, Riley? What do you know about my parents? I used to be close to them. They trusted me. But there are things even I can't fully grasp. There's a ledger, a record that could expose everything," he continued, rubbing his forehead as if trying to piece together a shattered memory. Emily leaned closer, her voice urgent. "Then we need to find that ledger. Where is it?" Riley hesitated, his brow furrowing with uncertainty. "It's south at the old estate, but getting there won't be easy. They're already watching." "I don't care," Emily shouted, her voice echoing around the room, pulling Riley from his stupor. "If it means protecting my family, if it means protecting you too, we'll go." Mike rested a calming hand on her shoulder, but she felt her resolve tighten around her like a steel band. Riley's face shifted from dazed to something just short of panic. "You don't know what you're asking. But what if this is our only chance?" Emily's heart was racing, every word spilling out of her like a life raft thrown into turbulent waters. What if we're the only ones who can stop them? With the weight of his silence hanging heavily in the air, Riley's gaze drifted distant and hollow. "To go there, you're asking for a world of trouble. It's not just a house. It's a trap, eh? Warning to anyone who gets too close." "Then we'll be ready," Mike said fiercely. As they made plans, the looming sense of danger felt almost palpable. Emily knew they stood at the brink of something huge, but the fear of the unknown gnawed at her insides. "Are you with us?" she asked, turning to Riley. He hesitated, glancing at the floor, weighing the cost of vulnerability. Finally, in a small voice, he whispered, "If it means standing a chance against whatever's coming, I'm in." Just as relief began to wash over Emily, a loud crash echoed from outside the warehouse. "What was that?" Mike's voice was tense, urgency igniting their hearts. Fear bubbled inside her, like a storm about to break loose. "Stay back," Riley shouted, rising quickly from his chair. The sound of approaching footsteps grew louder, pounding like a war drum. Emily's blood ran cold as dread settled in her stomach. Who was coming? And would they be ready to face the truth that had lain dormant for so long? The atmosphere shifted as the footsteps rushed closer. Emily's breath quickened, panic tightening her chest. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Mike squeezed her hand, grounding her, while Riley moved to the window, cautiously peeking through the dusty curtains. "Stay low," he whispered, his voice strained. "We need to make sure they don't know we're here." Emily nodded, instinctively lowering herself onto the floor beside Mike. She could see Riley's silhouette tensing, his eyes darting back and forth. "What if they're here for the ledger?" Mike murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. "What if they already know we're looking for it?" Riley pulled back from the window, his expression grim. "They might. And they won't let us walk away easily. This isn't just a game. They will do whatever it takes to keep that ledger hidden. Then we can't let them," Emily replied fiercely, her heart racing as she thought about her family and the danger that loomed over them. "We need to fight back." Riley shook his head slowly, the lines of worry deepening on his face. "It's not that simple, Emily. You're not just facing these people because of curiosity. It's about your family's secrets and what they're willing to do to protect themselves." Suddenly, the front door flew open with a creak that cut through the tension like a knife. A figure stepped inside, shadowed by the light from outside. "Riley, I know you're in here." A woman's voice called out, dripping with authority. Emily exchanged a worried glance with Mike, who instinctively pulled her closer. They remained breathless in the cloak of shadows, hiding and hoping to avoid detection. The woman walked in, her silhouette growing clearer under the dim light. She was tall, commanding, with dark hair slicked back and a crimson coat enveloping her figure. Emily's stomach churned. She felt an overwhelming sense of dread mixed with determination. This was no ordinary visitor. Whoever she was, she meant business. "Riley, this is your last chance," the woman continued, casting a glance around the room. "We know you've been talking. You can't keep her safe. You can't protect anyone from the truth anymore." Emily bit her lip, fighting the urge to confront her. "Who is she?" she whispered to Mike. "Someone dangerous," he replied quietly, his eyes trained on the unfolding scene. Riley stepped forward, his voice trembling yet firm. "What are you going to do? You can't intimidate me. It's not just about me anymore." The woman smirked, her eyes glinting dangerously, half amusement and half irritation. "Oh, but it is. You don't understand how deep this goes. You think you can play the hero and walk away from this? You're only making it worse." Emily's heart raced as she witnessed the tension, her instincts screaming that they needed to act. She couldn't let Riley face this alone. "Riley, we need a plan," she urged, determination blazing in her voice. "Whatever she knows, we need to turn it against her." Riley's gaze fell on Emily, a mixture of fear and respect shining through his troubled eyes. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Mike looked at them both with fierce resolve. "We don't have a choice. We're in this together, no matter what comes next." As Emily prepared to speak, a loud crash echoed from a nearby doorway, jolting them all. The woman turned sharply, her focus breaking as her attention directed outside. Emily seized the moment, her instincts firing. "Let us go," she urged. Together, they dashed for the back door, the weight of fear pushing them forward. But as they stumbled into the alley, Emily's breath caught in her throat. There were more shadows moving in the darkness, encircling the vicinity. "Riley," she shouted, her voice fraught with panic. He turned, eyes wide, as the realization hit. They were cut off, trapped between hidden dangers and a match against time. "Stay close," Mike barked, positioning himself protectively in front of Emily. But Emily knew deep down that they had just stepped into a world far darker than she could ever have anticipated. As the shadows closed in, she felt a tightness in her chest. "Whatever happens next, we face it together," Emily whispered, blood pounding in her ears. And then, just as quickly as it had begun, everything shifted again. The ground beneath them trembled slightly, and a sliver of gray light cut through the darkness, illuminating possibilities Emily couldn't yet see. Who would come out as the victor in this struggle against secrets and unseen forces? And did the ledger hold the answers they needed, or was it just another piece in an elaborate game of shadows? The shadows loomed, an oppressive blanket as Emily clutched Mike's hand tighter. The alley felt smaller with every breath they took. Fear was no longer a distant concept. It had become a palpable force surrounding them. It whispered in her ear, urging her to run, to hide. But deep down, something stronger ignited a fire in her spirit. "Stick together," Mike urged, his voice anchored and resolute. Riley echoed him, glancing back to gauge their surroundings. "We need to get to the corner," he instructed. "There's a way out if we move fast." Emily nodded, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We can't let fear win. We need the ledger. We need the truth." Just then, there was a rustle. A dark figure loomed behind them. Emily turned, the breath catching in her throat. The woman from the warehouse appeared, her presence commanding yet menacing. "Running 1T save you." "Emily," she intoned, voice dripping with certainty. "You can't escape what's waiting for you." Mike stepped in front of her instinctively. The icy grip of terror clutched Emily's heart, yet it became a call to action. "What do you want from us?" she shouted, her voice echoing with defiance. "I want you to understand the stakes," the woman replied, a smirk creeping across her lips. "You think you can carry the weight of your family's secrets without paying the price? Trust me, we've already paid," Riley said, stepping forward, unyielding. "But it won't be for nothing." "Ah, the reluctant knight," the woman sneered, her eyes darting to the shadows waiting like sentinels, ready to close in. "You all take this so lightly. Let me enlighten you. There's a reason your family had to disappear." "Stop it," Emily erupted. "We're done with threats. If you're here for the ledger, fine. Let us settle this." Her declaration hung in the air like an electric charge, igniting something courageous within each of them. The woman's smile faltered, replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. "You truly believe you can handle the truth?" she mocked. "I don't fear the truth," Emily shot back, voice steady, heart pounding with renewed bravery. "I fear the darkness that keeps us from it." From behind the woman, a tension crackled like static electricity, and shadows shifted like restless spirits. Suddenly, figures emerged, others who had been waiting along the alley, attaching themselves to the woman's aura of menace, forming a wall of intimidation. Emily felt her heart race, but stood firm. "We will face whatever comes next," she cried out, addressing her makeshift family around her. "Together, no matter what. Now you've gone and done it." The woman laughed, the sound chilling the air. "Very well. If you want the ledger, you will have to fight for it, and face your past's consequences." "Then so be it," Mike roared, stepping forward, muscles tensed. It felt as if the world paused, waiting for the culmination of choices made in a heartbeat. The woman tilted her head slightly, a glint of respect in her gaze before it turned cold once more. "Fine. Let us settle this. But you'll soon realize that some truths are better left buried." As she turned, the shifting shadows moved, coiling outward, manipulating the atmosphere around them. Suddenly, the air thickened, looming dread overshadowing Emily's moment of bravado. "Move," Riley yelled, a moment too late. The figures closed in, but there was no longer a choice. They were all committed. In a rush of adrenaline and fear, Emily found herself sprinting past Mike and Riley, heart racing with purpose. She could feel the surge of her father's hidden truth reaching out, connecting each heartbeat, guiding each step that put her closer to the ledger and closer to the answers. In that heartbeat, a surge of sisterhood with Sarah, family with Mike, and a bond with Riley fueled her forward. Each person moved with her, picking up the pieces that their families had left behind, a unity forged in the fire of struggle. As they approached the corner, Emily glanced back at the emerging shadows. The future was uncertain, shrouded in mystery, but she felt the warmth of hope illuminating the path. She had learned the hard way that secrets will emerge, and neither she nor her family would be alone anymore. In the rush of movement, reluctant yet unwavering, Emily's heart was illuminated by the truth. Whatever lay ahead, she would claim her own story. No longer shackled by the past, she stood on the brink of a future enriched by love, courage, and a fierce determination to protect those she held dear. As they reached the end of the alley, the sun broke through the clouds, its rays pouring over them, as if nature itself blessed their quest. It was a symbol of a new dawn, a new beginning. Together, she shouted, arms raised high. We're rewriting the story. The shadows may loom, but they are nothing compared to the strength of love and truth standing tall against them. The world awaited their next move, and with hearts full of hope, they stepped into the light. Now is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let us keep bringing you these thrilling transformations. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending below. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this amazing journey of resilience. They deserve to be inspired just like you.